Hello, my name is Erin Whited, and I will be presenting my ideas on a diversity plan that we can implement into our school system that will help us to close achievement gaps between our diverse student subgroups. I got a lot of my ideas from my experiences with the Boys and Girls Club of America. What's amazing about that group is that there are so many different students and schools that feed into our one club, our one group, and so a lot of these students have different backgrounds and they may not see or experience that with their students or their friends in school. So it's a big melting pot, and the students are able to have the opportunity to make friends and bond with students over different clubs and organizations and things that we do within the Boys and Girls Club that they may not have the opportunity to do at school. So some of the subgroups that I chose to focus on based off my experiences there are students from different multicultural backgrounds, also some students who are facing gender biases, and students from low-income families or students in poverty. So the first thing I want to start with is this is some statistics that I found from a university website, and they did a study on 42 different diversity plans and some statistics that show what they lacked. And really, I just included this because it shows our need for a diversity plan that has concrete, like, what are we going to do, how are we going to do it, and not just, well, we should do this, but how are we going to do it? So how? How are we going to do it? It's important to begin with a self-reflection, and I think a lot of students face groups within their system who are competing and have different priorities, and oftentimes a lot of those groups that have their needs met first are the dominant groups. So I think we need to have an effort to shift our resources to the disadvantaged populations in a way that doesn't look like it's just an add-on or a second thought that we have, but a way to actually implement it into a daily routine for teachers, and not just like an hour intervention for these specific students, but something that we can implement daily that everyone experiences. It's important to have goals, like I said earlier, to close these achievement gaps. Some ways that we can do this are to have outstanding learning for all, a secure and healthy learners, and to provide a culture of equity. Ways that we can have outstanding student learners looks like having excellent teachers, high standards and opportunities for students, and also teaching methods that work. A lot of times people will tell you don't reinvent the wheel, but sometimes with our different diverse students, maybe it does need reinventing. One way that we can ensure that we have excellent teachers is by thinking about teacher retention. How can we keep our good teachers, and how can we promote them and make them feel valued and needed in our system to keep them? And I think one way that we can implement that is to have teacher groups, teacher leadership roles, if you will. I think it's also important to mix this group and to just provide like a hierarchy of teachers and allow them to be able to move up, and this will help create a leadership, and it will also help to create accountability amongst teachers and to bounce your ideas off of each other, because you're working with the same students. So the more brains that we put together, it's only going to have a better outcome for our students. Secure and healthy learners looks like meeting their basic needs, such as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm going to get to that later in my slide. Fostering wellness and joy, and supporting families. A lot of times teachers, I think, feel helpless. They don't really know what they can do to help that student, like financially, or they feel like they can't do anything, and I think we feel like our hands are tied. So I think it's important to have groups together of administration or teachers or whatever it is, social workers, have a group in place to have someone that teacher can turn to, and then have a plan set up for those students. And that will help actually bring this to fruition of like, okay, well, what is step one when we have a student with this particular situation? Who do we turn to? What can we give them? Who can we send them to? The third is a culture of equity. Culture of equity looks like addressing key challenges within our school, not looking over anything, not turning your eye, equipping individuals to act, and fostering engagement and accountability. Again, the teacher group, I think, will help to foster accountability for our students. So next is Maslow. Students have to Maslow before they can bloom. I love that statement. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs begins with a base of their physiological needs: food, water, warmth, and then next is safety, and this includes security. Your students should feel safe when they come into your room. We want them to anyways. The next is belongingness and love, which looks like relationships and friendships. And this is the good part for teachers. This is where we really feel like we can shine. And also, so just loving on your students. But also esteem needs is next. That's when your students can feel accomplished. I think a lot of times, because those certain diverse students may be underachieving, they don't get that sense of accomplishment as much, because obviously we like to focus on our students who are doing really well, and there's different ways that teachers will reward certain grades or behavior, but I think the more that we can help these students feel accomplished, the more accomplished they will want to become. And then the next is self-actualization. And self-actualization is really great. And a lot of times that's where I've noticed, if you look at like school mission statement, we want to create students who will be great community members, blah, 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 blah. But how do we get them there? We have to meet their needs first. And here's the Bloom's taxonomy. I believe that a lot of this is what we implement in our classrooms, but it has to come after students have their initial needs met. Some ways that we can include multicultural students is by celebrating different holidays each month, having a cultural fair. I think that'd be a great idea, a school-wide cultural fair, and to also have awareness training for teachers who may not be aware that they have different cultures within their classroom. Ways that gender biases can be addressed, I think, starts with teachers. A lot of times we will teach our students based off of our understanding of things. Initially, subconsciously, we do that. But times are different, and I think proper training and self-reflection will help us to understand our different students' socioeconomic statuses and how it affects them around us and around our other students. It's important to know where our students come from. And so this call to action, I'm going to read this quote. Thurgood Marshall once said, "Unless our children begin to learn together, then there is little hope that people will ever learn to live together. Low poverty and diverse districts, more so than segregated schools, have the opportunity to serve as a model for how heterogeneous students' communities can not only learn and live together, but also achieve equitability. No district has accomplished this feat yet doing so is within reach." And I think that gives us a lot of hope for how we can get our underachieving students from diverse backgrounds reach the achievement level and close that achievement gap. Thank you.